Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Dr. Goodson, the founder and chief learning officer at Biz Doc Consulting, and tonight we're going to be continuing on in our series of bad data. Tonight we're on episode 3 of 5, and if you haven't yet, go back and check out those other episodes. I don't want you to miss anything in the confines of our discussion tonight. So, bad data and artificial intelligence. That is what we're going to be talking about tonight. Let's get right to it. So, why artificial intelligence? I don't know about you, but everything I'm seeing on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram is talking about ChatGPT or Bard or Jasper or Quibble or so many other artificial intelligence models that are out there that are striving to make the world a better place. But in the confines of our discussion on bad data, we really want to know if the data that's coming to us as, artificial intelligence users of these systems, if it is in fact good data or is it bad? So let's look at a quick case study. This week I was coming home from work and I was listening to an Apple podcast on artificial intelligence, and there was some ethical concerns of some legal professors out there in the US talking about a very specific prompt and a very specific answer to that prompt. And it had something to do with different harassment cases that were brought against legal professors in the United States. Well, after this individual had received this prompt that they put into the system and the answer, they went through and started doing their own research. They emailed a couple of the professors that came up that it listed, I believe it was ChatGPT, and it listed these professors and the allegations and the dates and corresponding articles. Well, what this individual found was that some of these, not all of them, but some of those data points, some of the names that were listed, were completely wrong. Either the names were made up, the allegations were made up, or the references to those allegations were made up. So much so that they contacted one of the members that was on that list, the professors, and said, hey, is this harassment case against you in fact true? They emailed the professor, they got an email back almost instantaneously and said, hey, I wasn't even teaching at that time. I've never been to that state. I've never taught at that college, and that article is completely wrong. Which now we're at a point where there's some lawsuits and legal action being taken out there against some of this damaging information. So why is this important in the confines of our discussion on bad data? Well, if you or anyone in your organization is using some sort of artificial intelligence model to help you in any way, you need to be aware of these things, that artificial intelligence synthesizes data based on parameters. And in that synthesization, there might be some missteps, some oversteps, some oversights, and you have the ability to ingest and populate bad and or just straight in factual wrong data. So just a word of caution on that end. So what are some of the things that I do to avoid those situations? Well, in corporate America, there's a lot of the use of Excel. That's one of the most common templates to receive and send data across the organization, whether it's through Teams or SharePoint or Slack or whatever system you're using for communication, even general email. But it's normally a flat file transfer that's either a CSV or in some type of table format. So some of the questions that I ask to ensure that my data is good and clean and not bad is, 1, where did this data come from? Did you pull it straight from a system, or did it come from another table of another table of another table? Okay, so if it passes the system check where they're like, yes, this came straight from the system, the second question I ask is, what has been done to this data prior to me receiving it? Has it been pivoted? Has it been edited? Are there hidden columns? Has it been manipulated manually by anyone else apart from me? It should come straight from the system to my inbox, and it should be raw. And early on in my career, a lot of people had a problem with that. Like, well, what does it matter? Well, for me as a data scientist and as an IO psychologist, I value raw data. I've been trained on how to clean it, on how to fill in missing data points and estimations based off of advanced statistical analysis. And there's a lot of things that go into that when I'm putting my reputation on the line in terms of if the data is correct and valid and accurate. So if it's been manipulated prior to me getting it, I'm still on the line for whatever results I produce with that data set. So now, several years later, when I say, hey, where did this data come from? They say, oh, it came from the system. It's raw. It's unedited. Good luck. And I, of course, say, thank you. So set those parameters for yourself. And if it's not possible to go through and get clean and reliable data, well, then you have a bigger problem. If you only have access to bad data, you need to get down to the root of the situation and figure out how you can get access to good data. That should be priority number 1. So tonight, we've talked about artificial intelligence and bad data, and we've also talked about some of the mechanisms by which you can ensure that you are getting quality data before you begin your analysis. I really appreciate you coming out tonight. We have a couple more videos in the series about bad data, and I look forward to jumping into our next series here very shortly. Thank you guys, and have a great weekend.